148 of Nerdpod Generations. As always, I'm one of your illustrious host, Steve Taylor, along with the lovely Al Judson. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
We're coming at you in a little bit of a different way today. We are literally recording in the car after getting out of Deadpool and Wolverine, and we are going to start our first segment, which is going to be our impressions of Deadpool and Wolverine, literally 5 minutes from the end credit roll.
Seriously, like it just ended and we went to the bathroom and now we're here.
Yes, we were going to do this in the bathroom, but we figured that'd probably be bad.
They do say that the acoustics in bathrooms are better, but it is also kind of strange to do a podcast in a bathroom.
Yeah, yelling F words and stuff.
Yeah. So,
Deadpool and Wolverine, much anticipated. We have been waiting for this. Everyone's been waiting for this.
Some of us have been dreading it. Some of us have been pessimistic.
I'm going to make an initial call on this.
Okay.
From my side.
Okay.
I do need to see it again. As always, you know, a lot of emotions going to seeing something that you've been really anticipating for the first time.
Yeah.
This is my favorite MCU movie.
I can easily see that. We're going to start out without spoilers, and then we'll work our way into spoilers as we go.
Yes.
But, this was the first MCU movie I've seen since, I think, Infinity War that really, actually gave me the comic book buzz that I look for when I watch these movies.
Yes.
All the way down. Everything I could have wanted, all the little hints, all the little winks. And on top of that, it was extremely sentimental, and I can't.
Very sentimental, especially with everything in Wolverine's backstory.
Yeah,
and it was so.
It wasn't perfect.
So good.
I will say there were some elements of it that I found. I guess the best way I could call it is I would look at it cockeyed.
Okay.
I would look at it and be like, oh, really? Okay. So without going too into it, there's a instance with the X-Men that has to be explained. And I found that explanation was a little less than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But I think overall I really enjoyed it. I also was really worried coming in. This isn't really a spoiler because this is the beginning of the movie. But coming in, I was hearing a lot about Deadpool and Vanessa's relationship is over and Deadpool's trying to put himself back together. And I was like, oh, not one of these.
Yeah.
And that is how the movie starts.
Yes.
And there is a part of me that kind of wishes we hadn't done that just because I find that to be kind of tawdry and old.
It is, but they don't really lay that much into it.
No, it's more of a setup than anything. It's not really something that we dwell on. And it's not like we meet Vanessa's new family or anything like that.
Yeah, no, nothing like that.
So it is more just like a superficial thing. I just wish that it was a little. I always find that to be like, ugh, especially with superheroes.
Yes.
You see that a lot with superheroes. Is the love interest has moved on from the superhero because they've realized they can't be in love with a superhero, and now the superhero has one more thing they have to deal with.
But I do appreciate that they never and once again, this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. They never really say that he's doing this for her. It's always, I'm doing this for my family, and it's everyone in the picture.
Yeah.
Not just her. And that's a line, that's a scene from the commercial or from the trailer. So once again, it's not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
This is the first Marvel movie that didn't follow the Marvel method.
Exactly.
And I think that's why I feel this way. Because I still love not Falcon and Winter Soldier. I still love the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But even that had a couple moments that followed kind of the Marvel. This was completely once again, this looks like Marvel had no hand in any of this movie.
I think that they had a hand in it, but I think only a gentle hand. I every time I see the TVA, it has Marvel's fingerprints all over it. But
yes.
That said, I think the use of the TVA here was actually very clever because it takes something that I complain about and kind of pokes fun at it and also says this is stupid and whatever, but it gives it a greater purpose at the same time.
Exactly.
And I think that's huge because that is something that I found deeply lacking in Loki was just they introduced the TVA and it just spawns more questions.
Yes.
And so to have it be oh, the TVA's here and it's kind of here because we need it, but also it's kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I can deal with that.
And I like how they kind of did what the Acolyte tried to do with the Jedi, and they took the TVA and they made them the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's okay, yeah, there's still some good people in the TVA, but this shows you when somebody with their power can do. And he was literally going to destroy timelines just because he wants to.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
Yeah. So I like that is the setup and premise. I think that there's some really strong elements to this that you just don't get to see anywhere else because they play in the mud. You know, it's like they do the things that Marvel always kind of hints and pretends to do, but never is willing to do.
Yes.
Like you look at Guardians 2 and the Ravagers and everything that they did there. And you're like, man, you went to a lot of trouble to do this, but you're not going to do anything with it.
No, you're not going to stick the landing.
I don't know why we went to all this trouble. And this goes to the trouble, but uses it appropriately as part of the story.
Yes.
And it, you know, it really works.
I think of all of everything, it was just such a fun movie.
Yeah.
Like, like you said, it's not 100% perfect as far as following certain things and answering questions and some questions. But overall, it was, I haven't laughed that hard in a comedy in a long time.
No, it was just a really good comedy and a really good superhero story.
And fuck, the action scenes were so good.
Yeah.
And I had heard the fight, and once again, you kind of see this in the trailer, the fight in the minivan was great. And it was great.
Yeah.
That was so fucking great.
That was good.
A fight in a minivan.
I just like how they set everything up.
Yeah.
You know, and that the payoff works. You know, it's a movie where as fans, you want to see Wolverine and Deadpool fight, and they're like, okay, so we're just going to have Wolverine and Deadpool fight like a few times.
Yes. And
it doesn't get boring or old or feel gimmicky. It's like, no, this is how these two deal with emotions.
Yeah. Once again, the low Hugh Jackman, you and I have always had the issue where we love Hugh Jackman.
Oh my
and
God.
I think he's great, but he never quite fit the physical embodiment of the part. But then watching this again, I was like, God damn it, I just don't care because he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
He was so good in this movie.
Well, and they gave us what we wanted without going into...
Yes.
I don't want to spoil any of the cameos.
No, they definitely gave us what we wanted.
Because the cameos are a huge part. We'll get into that when we hit spoilers later.
Yes.
But I am so grateful for that entire sequence.
Yes.
Because it gave me so many things that I've wanted to see for so long. And it was like, oh, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. Oh my God. And then the final reveal is just hilarious.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's so incredible and hilarious. And not something I knew I wanted, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is amazing.
And I love, as expected, there's a lot of shots taken at Marvel. There's a lot of shots taken at Fox.
Yeah.
Which is the fucking best. Especially that first one that happens while he's in the TVA.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into detail.
We're not going to go into the detail.
But that had me pissing my pants.
That
it was so fucking
good.
funny.
That was so good. Oh, man. No, I am genuinely glad with how this movie came out.
Yes.
And
very much so.
I you know, we've been talking about this a lot this year. The back and forth between who will be stronger in the creative process, Kevin or Ryan. And I thank the gods that Ryan was the stronger hand on the wheel for this one.
And fucking Kevin probably is too, because this movie, if it does the business I think it's going to do, it could be a revitalization of Marvel if they learn from it.
If they learn from it. I think
and that's the problem.
The big thing they have to learn from this isn't you have to get as many crossovers as possible. And it isn't that you have to have this, and this in the movie. Whether it's stuff that I want or not. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that Marvel has been afraid to give us that they finally use, that I hope Marvel now takes and says, this is something that we want to keep doing. But it's not the key. It's not the only thing that's going to make the movie good.
Yes.
The biggest thing to take away from this is artistic license.
Yes.
You need to bring in somebody who loves the material and who has a vision for it. It can't just be this cookie cutter processed bullshit that it's been for like 5 years now. And that's being conservative. Some might say, including you, it's been much longer since the Marvel method really took root in the universe.
Oh yeah.
And so to see this is just so refreshing.
And it's the first movie that truly, and now mind you, part of it is because it's very referential and fourth wall breaking, but it really leaned into a lot of canonical things that you and I have been begging them to do.
Yeah.
That you always hear, oh, well, we don't think it would work. Fucking everything worked.
All of it
that
works.
was hard canon worked in this fucking
telling
movie.
You for so long that it'll work. And just the executives for years have always just been like, oh, but we don't want it to get goofy. We don't want it to be stupid. It's like, what are you talking about? This is a comic book movie.
Yeah.
You're way past cool on that, man. Like, what are you talking about? We passed it 200 miles ago when we started making this goddamn thing. Of course it's going to be goofy. That's part of the joy of it. That's part of the fun. And I think that Ryan Reynolds definitely understands that in a big way. And I think it's also catching. I think that Hugh Jackman seemed like he was having more fun playing Wolverine in this movie than he has in a lot of other movies. You know, even ones where, whether it's ones where he just has a cameo like X-Men Apocalypse, or whether it's ones where he's centered around the entire movie, like Origins. I think that this is probably the most fun he's had since Logan playing the character. It's also the first time since Logan, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think, like Logan, it's because the gloves are off. Literally, like, he can be the real Wolverine with all the violence and all the swearing and all the. That's why Logan is truly the best Wolverine movie until this, really. And it's like, I still think Logan as a standalone Wolverine movie is still the best, but I mean, this is like the same kind of characterization of Logan.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
It's so amazing. It hits every nail, quite literally, in a lot of ways that we've been talking about. Of just like, I want this, and I want this, and I'm angry about this, and I don't like this. And it just goes through, and it's like, okay, let's take this apart, and we're gonna, in some cases, we're gonna show you a proof of concept.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be very revealing. And in some cases, we're gonna show you a proof of concept, and you're going to be like, and this is why we didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But, man, I there were a few things still missing, I will say. It's not a spoiler, but there's no Alpha Flight mention.
Yes.
And I think like that was something that I didn't know if it was going to happen, but you figure 2 Canadian superheroes, maybe an Alpha Flight call out wouldn't be bad. I would have taken just a reference to Puck and Sasquatch, but like, you know, overall, I can't complain because they gave me so many other things that I truly enjoyed on a incredible nerd level of just like, this is what I've been waiting for. And especially with stuff like The Acolyte coming out this year, there's just been, for the last few years, so much just garbage nerd stuff where it pretends like it's nerd stuff, but it's not, because it doesn't have the heart and soul of the nerd thing that you love in it.
Yes, I agree.
And so I was delighted to see that this did not follow that trend.
All right, folks, so we are going to make a transition now. The next time you hear us, it will be a spoiler-filled finale to the review. This was our spoiler-free kind of let you know what our initial thoughts were.
You want to grade it?
I'm going to grade it an A+.
I'm also going to grade it an A+.
It was that fucking good.
I'm going to go out and see it again, probably at that theater, honestly.
Yeah.
Kelly wants to see it first off, but also just there's so many things that I want to unpack, so many things in the background that I want to take apart. So